Hey everyone, it's Greg with Advantage One Brokers, and this is the ADV One podcast. This is the podcast we come to you with relevant news, topics, and training. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Mr. Jeffrey Von Kienast, also known as Jeffy Grub Grub, for Grub Grub Studios. How you doing, brother? How are you?
Good, man. Doing really good. Just enjoying the life of the Advantage One broker.
Yeah, man. It's been a wild couple of weeks, but we had some waiting period for mail to start coming in and for all the mail drops that we did, but then it's starting to flow in this week.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to talk about your experience with the mail?
Dude, I have to tell my experience with mail. I have to.
So I know you did that. You did that video that you put on Instagram, we put on TikTok, and people. I mean, I think some people hit you up, but I've had a lot of people hit me up from me
They did.
posting, and they'll be like, the leaders are that good. And I'm like, yeah, the mail leads are that good. So let's go ahead and dig in, man.
Cool.
I'll let you kind of run this however you want and talk
Okay.
about however you want to talk about it, or you talk about stats, numbers, good experiences, bad experiences, the
Okay.
good, the bad, the ugly. So
Sure. I'm gonna talk about it all. So first, I just want to tell everybody that I'm gonna be super real on this podcast. So be extremely raw with this. I want people to know, like, I'm gonna talk truly about these leads, my experiences, whatever I've done this entire week. I started booking my first leads on Monday. So today's obviously, we're at the end of the week now, but um, I just have to say that whatever I'm going to say today is 100% like the real deal. Okay. So I just have to put that out there because I've had a lot of people reach out to me just asking like what kind of leads to run, what kind of leads to run. And I got to a point where I was like, man, I just can't give anyone a real solid answer on that until I like run the leads myself and be like, all right, run B leads, run A leads, get A leads, something with B leads. You got to, kind of figure that out.
yeah.
So what I did is I purchased A leads. Okay. I've gotten 10 A leads in so far. I also purchased B leads. I purchased 55 B leads. Okay. So I haven't spent very much money, probably like $700. And these are leads I ran this week, and I
Mhm.
have some left to keep running. So I want people to know that, like, I've only called about 10 or 12 B leads total.
Mhm.
I've called all my A leads, and we'll just put it this way. Here's my stats so far this week. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
This week, I've had a total of 1 hour and 5 minutes on the phones. Okay, 1 hour and 5 minutes for the whole week. All right, and I've sat with 7 people, and I've sold 7 people. 100% closing ratio. Okay, 2 of which were virtual sales. 1 virtual sale is A lead, 1 virtual sale is a B lead. So what I want people to know is that these leads I've been running, the A leads specifically, are the easiest one to talk to on the phone. I've had 0 objections on any phone call. I've also had 0 objections in any one of my presentations. Nobody's giving me any pushback, which is super uncommon for the insurance business. My sales process in home isn't even like a sales process. I've really had half the people I sit down with look at me and they say, what do you think we should do? That's what they say. And I give them 2 or 3 options depending where they're at, and they pick one. And that's exactly how it happens. So I do want people to know that right now, the only thing I've experienced is A and B leads. I've not run any live lead transfers. I've run any of the telemarketing leads. But I can tell you, if you're a new agent, the first thing I would do the second I came on board is I'd place an order for A leads right away,
Oh,
because you'll get your
absolutely.
money back and then some.
And and just to be very clear, so that people understand, are all of your leads in the age range of 30s and 40s and 50s?
No,
Are all the people you sat with and sold in the age range of 30s and 40s and 50s?
no, they're everywhere.
So what's the oldest client that you had that you sold?
74.
74. And what's the kind of average age range?
The youngest client was 34.
Okay.
Yesterday's virtual was 34.
Okay.
So I've sold a 34-year-old, their family. I would say the average age of the people I'm getting on the A leads are going to be, I would say, in their 50s,
Yeah.
probably, because I sold
That's
a
what I'd say too.
yeah, probably in their 50s if you average it out. But what I've been finding is the best ones I've been dealing with are actually the seniors, believe it or not. Because a lot of the times, I mean, I even called you. I went to some situations like, what do I do? And you're like, CP. I'm like, okay, explain it. And you're like, yeah, makes sense. Let's go. And that's how it's been. And then people that are younger, they just kind of want the best deal. So that's really easy to do because we broker through so many different companies. So that was easy. But yeah, I think what people are not understanding is that mortgage protection leads, in my opinion, are probably one of the best leads you can run because, like Chris Curry always says, you have a couple of things that make them qualified, meaning that they have 2 years on the job, decent income to buy a home, they have some sort of money down, and a good credit score. So things you got to have to be responsible. You know what I mean? So you know exactly what you're walking into. Every home I've walked into this week has been a nice home. Like, I know when you run those old leads we used to run, those internet style leads, you might walk into a home where Nancy's 77 years old, COPD, smoking cigarettes in her apartment, making $700 a week on SSI. And there's not much you could do to help her because she can't afford a good policy. She can't qualify for a good policy.
Yeah.
Mortgage protection lead, I'm sitting down with some people that can afford products. My average sale size is about $100 a month. Mm-hmm. So people can afford it and they don't even bark at it. They're just like, $100. Okay, let's go. So that's kind of what was really nice to see in mortgage protection leads specifically.
So 10 leads. How much was the annual premium? What, about $7K ish?
Yeah, right. Actually, I finished right at 64, I think, is 64? Where I finished with everything for the week.
6,400 AP. Mm-hmm. You know, an hour of dialing. you ran 7 appointments and you spent $700 and you're getting a return of about $6,000. And you still not even done with those leads yet.
No, so, I still have all my B leads I'm going to work through. And I have a couple A leads I still got to get in touch with. Yeah.
You're going to still have A leads that are going to be flowing in now every week after week after week. So
yeah, one come in yesterday. I haven't got a chance to talk to that person yet. I haven't called them yet. So I was boating, just having some fun. So,
yeah, out on the boat. I saw that. That was awesome, man.
Yeah, it was great.
So you've been in the insurance industry for a while. You were captive, and then you went to an IMO, and you ran. That's the first time you really started running leads that you paid for. And then you have this. So comparatively across the spectrum, where would you put Advantage One Brokers? And then specifically because these leads are exclusive to them. Right. Because I've run multiple different mailers from multiple different companies, but how would you rate the mailers?
So do I get goosebumps thinking about this? Because it's crazy to me because I've ran leads at a captive company. And there was like good and bad leads there, right? Their best lead they had was the worst lead at our other IMO. Okay. Mm-hmm. The best lead that our other IMO has is equivalent to a B lead at Advantage Brokers. Mm-hmm. I can put that in perspective for you. Here's what I've found over my 5 years almost in insurance business. Number one, there is a difference. A lead is not a lead. Just like you say, a lead is not a lead. There is a level to working smarter and not harder. That's a real thing. And also compensation matters. I don't think people realize that because you might have a situation where your agency owner has you on a 60% contract, but they're sitting there saying, hey, we pay for your leads. It's like, okay, I get that, but you still have to work twice as hard as me because my contract is double. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's kind of like out there and you're digging a hole with a shovel and I'm going to be digging a hole with an excavator. Okay. It's just less time. I'm going to have to spend less time working because I have a higher compensation. Yeah. And number two, lead quality is extremely important. I cannot tell you how many times where at the company I worked with for a long time, the owner would be like, hey, I gave all the leads, pretty much the guys that are producing that are writing business. So the people that are new, that are struggling, they're getting these leads that are not very good, meaning like half the time their phone numbers aren't even active or working. They can't really do anything with it. And they have zero to do with life insurance or any kind of insurance at all. It's just like, what do you want me to do here? I mean, you have more success dialing out of a phone book at this point because the numbers actually work. Mm-hmm. So lead quality is a big deal. Okay. And how the lead is generated is also another thing that's extremely important. When you don't know where your lead is coming from, that's a huge red flag. If you can't look your person in the face, say, hey, your upline, your manager, whatever, and say, hey, where my lead's coming from? Oh, they're just from the internet. Oh, they just get, basically they fill out a mailer, blah, blah, blah. Like they can't really give you a true answer. If you go to someone in the company and say, hey, look, where my leads come from. Very simple. We have a mailing house here, here, and here. Once you start a lead order, they start mailing the mailers out. It's first class. They can give you the whole thing. First class mail, gets to their home, they fill it out, they send it back, comes to you right away.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times that I've actually had that happen. I'll give you a specific example. I sat down with somebody and they said, yeah, these leads that you gave me, I purchased, but the ones that you and Spencer called me with when I was on vacation, they said, hey, these leads are in an area away from you. Do you want to run them? I was like, no problem. So I picked them up. They're a ways away in a town called Evansville. I just wanted to run because I got excited. And she goes, yeah, I filled this out a week ago. And after I filled this out, I had like 5 more of these cards come in. I'm like, oh, did you respond to any of those? No, I filled this one. I was waiting for you guys. Like she was waiting for the initial mailer she filled out. I was like,
because ours is the first in the home.
It is. And that blew
that's
my
what
mind.
makes the difference.
It does, because so many people are going to fill it out and be like, oh, I already filled one out. I don't need to fill this out again. I already filled this one out. I already filled this one out. Mm-hmm. Let's put it this way. Let's make it this simple. If you are applying for a credit card through Capital One, okay, and they send you a mailer, you get those mailers saying you're pre-approved at $20,000 or whatever the number may be. You fill that out and you send it in, right? Let's say they send you another one later. Are you going to fill out again? You're going to throw in the trash because you already filled one out. And if they send you another one, are you going to fill it out? Nope, I already filled one out. I'm going to throw that one in the trash. Mm-hmm. You fill it out, and that's the one you're going to wait for. So people don't understand that that's a big deal. Being the first one in the home is a big deal. And not only that, these people are more receptive. I mean, this is one thing I've tried to mention in my phone sessions. When I call these people, I called them the first time. The majority of my clients picked up the first time. Okay, they picked up. I talked to them. I explained the situation. I set the appointment. No objections.
Yeah.
The reason I called for an hour and 5 minutes, because I called for 35 minutes in the morning time and then 35 minutes after 5 o'clock so I can get a hold of these people. Second time I called, the rest of the people picked up and I set them. It wasn't like you're trying to hammer the phones, call them 5 or 6 or 7 times until they pick up. Yeah. It was very basic on how it worked. Yeah. So coming from a company where I came from, I mean, I was working really, really hard to make $200,000 a year. And I was also selling not necessarily a duplicatable process, because I'm trying to teach these new guys like, hey, you can make $200,000 a year too, but you got to build this huge, massive team, because 90% of my income comes from my team. Mm-hmm. Where when you're learning from somebody like you as a top producer, it's like you've made $150,000 a month just writing on personal production. So when you sell someone a dream, like, hey man, you come on board here, you work really hard, you can be super successful, you make $200,000 a year. Caveat is though, you need to recruit, you need to build a fat team, and it's going to take you years to do that. So you probably won't make $200,000 a year until year 3 or 4. Yeah. But then if you show them like, hey man, here's our lead system, here's how you write business, your first week, it should be really easy for you to make $4,000 to $5,000. That's a duplicatable process. Yeah. I could show you how to do that. No team required. I could be like, hey man, come on board. Do you want to grow a team? No problem. Let's get you some good leads. Let's get you set up. Let me teach you how to run these. And you should make a couple $1,000s your first few days.
So one of the questions I'm getting a lot for agents that are coming on board, and they're almost dumbfounded, which is, I only got to get 10 leads. I can just spend $500 and do 10 leads and I can make money off of that. I can get a return. And so, yeah, what would you say to that, Jeff?
So I will say 10 leads is more than enough. If you want to get 15, you're just perfect. It's great. Here's the thing. I was the same way. When I placed my first order with Wes, he's like, hey, just buy 10 leads. I'm like, no way. I need like 25 or 30. I'm willing to spend whatever. He goes, you don't need that many leads. And I said, okay, hang on a second. I had a call. It's trying to interrupt here. 1 second. Can you see me still?
I can still see you.
Okay, good. And I said, man, well, what happens if I have 10 leads and I call through them and they don't answer? He's like, they're going to answer. I was like, well, in my experience, I would have 100 leads. I would call through all of them multiple times and maybe have 10 or 15 answer. I can tell you right now, out of the 10 leads I have, 9 I was working with because I got 1 in yesterday. I sat with 7. I called them all. There was only a couple I couldn't get a hold of that I'm going to drop by and do a knock on. But I sat with 7. So you only need 10 leads. You're only going to call for an hour. I suggest if you get 10 leads, you're going to start making a lot of money, and also find another hobby to do because you're going to have so much time on your hands. That's the truth, man.
Hey, by the way, you're going to be making so much money and you would do such a short period of time. You need to get it. You're going to have to get a hobby. So,
you need to do a hobby. Dude, I can't tell you. I only had my appointment set and I'm like, what do I do now? And I just chill at home. I mean, dude, this week I've This last 7 days, I've coached 2 of my daughter's soccer games, 1 of her soccer practice, took my daughter to tumbling, went boating, worked out every single day, done jujitsu, did all these things that you can't do if you're working even a normal full-time job. And I still made almost $6,000 this week doing all that. It's just my average day, I worked about 3 hours on an average day. I'd run a couple appointments, work a few hours, and that was it. And that's all you need. I mean, I feel like if you're like somebody who's like a go hard, crazy, like I got to work nonstop, great, man. I mean, you have a lot of things you can work on. I guess buy some B leads to supplement, but I mean, you only need 10 A leads. If you get 15, you're just going to make more money, but it's still not going to take up a lot of your time.
Absolutely.
That's kind of one thing I wanted to say really quick about that. You know, I have a lot of people that I used to work for and work with, and like their MO was like, grind. If it's not hard, it's not going to work. You should be working 7 days a week. # no days off. And they're making and they're struggling to make a couple $1,000s in a week if they're lucky, like new agents and even leaders. And I'm like, man, the last thing I did this week was grind. You know, my girlfriend made a joke. She called me. I usually call her after every sale. I'll call her. I'm like, yeah, what's up? And I talk to her. I'm like, yeah, I had a really good sale, really well. These people did this for work. It was cool to see that. And if I don't call her after a sit, it's because I usually didn't sell it. And the reason I don't call her is I'm like thinking in my head, like, what can I have done different? What can I have done different? Need some time to like figure out what I'm going to do to recompute and reactivate for the next sit. Mm-hmm. So I call her after every single sit I had. And she was like, man. And then yesterday I was doing a virtual sale. And I didn't call her because I was at home and I was like, my dog got to go outside, all that stuff. And then she calls me or she texts me, goes, what happened? I was like, oh, I forgot to call her. So I call her up. I was like, yeah, how'd it go? She's like, how'd it go? I'm like, oh, I sold it, for 1,200 ALP. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, where are you at for the week? I'm like, oh, I'm at 5,400, I believe. She's like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, I made like almost like a little $4,000. She's like, you've been done dick this week. Like, I know, verbatim her core words, and she doesn't say that, but she was like, yeah. I was like, I know. She's like, you haven't worked, like you're not, I feel like that you're just at home all the time. Like, I know, and I've made all this money, it's great. And I'm not even a good producer, man. Like, I'm not at my old company, I was not even close to a top producer. Like, I was average. Like, here's the average bar. I was like right here. Okay, I was below average. There are people so much better than me, and I'm out here just hanging out with these awesome leads, and it makes me look like I'm doing a good job, but I'm not. So I'm just a normal guy running these leads, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
The just to kind of, I want to talk about the leads a little bit and the differences. And you mentioned, a lead's not a lead, or what people say, a lead's a lead, and it's not. Like, you can't compare something that you have to pay for and you pay more or less for. You can't compare the value of that specific item, just like you can with any other industry. If you're buying a car, a phone, anything, a computer, you can't be like, a laptop's a laptop. No, bro. Like, I really like my MacBook Pro comparatively to a Chromebook. You know what I'm saying? So
it's right. Exactly.
They're not the same. They're not the same. So and that's almost what these are. These are like the Apple of leads. It's just like, they're so easy. They're user friendly. They're intuitive. they're just on the ball. You pay a little bit for them comparatively to, like, say, an internet lead or a Facebook lead, but your life is so much better and easier.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, some companies, they preach like, hey, our leads are free. It's like, if that's the only thing you can offer your agents, then you're doing them a disservice. Doing them a disservice, because I mean, I would rather pay for a lead that I'm gonna have a really high chance of sitting down with, closing with, and than working a lead that's free that doesn't have a working number, or I'm never going to get a hold of. It's a waste. You're wasting your time, and the way you look at it.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about having high quality leads, and this is something I'm very new to, because I wasn't in the IMO world like you guys were. I was working the free leads. Now what I realize is that some people come into the business and they're like, well, I'm just going to buy some of these cheap leads, make some money so I can afford to buy the more expensive leads. Don't do that. Like, just come in, buy the high quality leads. Okay, spend $500 compared to spending $200. Mm-hmm. That $500 is gonna make your life so much easier, because you don't have to put on a presentation. You don't have to be a sales agent, a salesperson in general. You can walk in these people's homes. They're gonna be waiting for you. I can't tell you how many people like texted me and was like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm running an hour late. When does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Never. I wish I could show you my text message, my virtual appointment I had yesterday. She texted me. And she goes, hey, can we reschedule to 10 a.m. instead of 6 p.m. because I have something going on? I was like, no problem. Text me again at 9 o'clock. Hey, I haven't got the link yet for our 10 a.m. meeting. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna start a meeting and have you add in. She's like, okay. And I'm sitting there and it's like it's 9:55. And she goes, hey, I think my husband just misplaced the email. Can you send it again? And I was like, sure. So I sent it again, hopped on, and I'm literally just asking him, here's the sheet I filled out actually right here. Here's the whole sheet in a financial broker style. And I filled it out and I was like, okay, here's your guys', I said, get a pen and paper, piece of paper handy. He's like, okay. I was like, here's the 3 products we're going to work with today. Which one do you want to go with? And they said, we like the IULE the best. I was like, cool, let's get it going, and wrote it. It was that simple. It wasn't like, when you get a phone call from a client that you set an appointment on, you're like, don't answer that, just show up. Don't answer that, just show up at the house, man.
You're in the field. If someone calls, don't answer the phone.
Don't answer the phone.
They're trying to cancel.
Show up.
You know why they're trying to cancel is because, let me break down mailers real quick, because a mailer is not a mailer is not a mailer. Okay.
Nope.
So you have, we're going to make 3 different categories and break it down to 3 different categories. So you have 3 different categories of mailers. Okay. So you have in the top category, this is going to be the fastest piece of mail that's there. Okay. And that's what Advantage One Brokers has. They can guarantee, and I can guarantee that the pieces of mail that we send out are going to be the first in the home, because we have proprietary systems that pull data before any other mail house. Okay. So not only that, but we're also mailing first class overnight shipping. So it is the first that's in the home. Then you have other mail houses that are also doing first class. This is going to be like the middle tier. Okay. Those middle tiers are going to be, there's only a handful of companies that still do first class. Typically they're going to be third party. Okay. So any agent from any IMO or any company can go buy them. Okay. But because of that, they're very slim pickings in terms of availability across the nation, because people have locked up territories. Okay. So that's the second category. The third category is like the ash and trash. All right. This is the category where like they get the data late and they just kind of do like snail mail, like the slowest mail, in order to be cheapest, because they want to have the cheapest possible mailer. So they're like, hey, we'll do drops for $300. And it's because they're doing the cheapest possible mailer. Okay. When you run those mails, those pieces of mail, because that's what your IMO has, and that's what they have in their CRM, and oh, by the way, after you buy them, they are resold on that same CRM multiple times. Okay. You're competing with yourself and you're galvanizing your own business, and the agents in your area are doing so. Okay. So the reason why that the people that actually fill that out, those are the people that fill out multiple pieces of mail.
Right.
Those are the people that when you got it and you finally set an appointment, there's already an agent that's going to be there the next day or that day, because they got they're in the category 2 or category 1. They're already starting to sit with them. So now when they're sitting with somebody else, they're calling you and saying, hey, I've already got this taken care of. Thanks though. Jeff Grub came by and helped me out. Okay. and so, because you're late to the party. And so that's why it's like, hey, if somebody calls, don't answer the phone. Don't answer the phone, because they're going to be canceling, just show up. Here, you don't have to do that, because we're the number 1 spot. So it's fine. So anyone who's been calling you, more than likely why they're calling you is because they legitimately need to, change to a different time, or they're like, hey, I'm running late. They're like, hey, I'm looking for the link to get on our Zoom meeting.
That's what happened yesterday. Even yesterday, my appointment in the evening before we went and hop on the boat, they called me because I was like, oh man, this sucks. They started calling me at noon, and I'm just PTSD, like, dang, don't answer this phone call. And I did. I was like, all right, answered it. I'm like, hey, she's like, hey, Jeff, is this Jeff, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like, hey, can we push our meeting back to like 3? I was like, no, I'm going boating at 2:30 though. And so she's like, okay, we can do 2:30. And I got there, and I'm just like waiting for her to show up, and they pulled in like right after me, like 2:33. But I couldn't believe they called me to like reschedule the meeting for a later time. It's just like, that's never happened before, ever, to me. So having that happen in a home, having that happen with these clients, and that was a B lead, by the way. That wasn't an A lead. That was a B lead. So, and I don't know why, I mean, I know we call them A and B leads. I want to give people clarity on that. The A leads are your top tier. Your B lead is going to be your lead that's less expensive. But the best part about mailer is kind of what you talked about. I think people need to understand this. The reason why mailer is, in my opinion, again, is so much more profitable than other leads is because it's undeniable when I show them that piece of paper. This is what you filled out, and here is your initials. Okay. Versus like running an internet life lead or something that was generated via internet or email because you're like, hey, is this your information? They're like, yeah, I know how you got it. When I pull up that piece of paper though, that's their handwriting and I can see like their initial, you can't deny that. So it just gives you a lot more like credibility and a lot more belief from the client when you walk in the door with something like that. So I really just enjoy, that's the whole reason I came to Advantage Brokers. I think I tell everybody that. I said, look, I was doing just fine in my other company we were at. Personally, I was doing okay. And the only reason I came over is because I wanted to work with a top tier client, meaning I wanted to work with mortgage protections. I want to work with mailers. I want to find the best company to offer that. I wasn't like, my allegiance wasn't to that previous company. My allegiance is to my family. Like I serve my family. Like I'm here to spend time with them, raise my kids, be a great significant other, give back to my community when I can. My life is not to dedicate to my entire business 7 days a week, 365. And there's a lot of things that I preached about back in the day that I was really wrong about. You know, like I even said stuff to people like, dude, you're doing a disservice to your family if you're not working really hard right now. Like if you're not working all the time, like you're doing them a disservice. And I would say I'm partially wrong and partially right in some ways. If you're in a financial bind, you should be taking a day off until you get back to a good financial situation because that's very important. But then when you find that good financial situation, you need to make sure you're spending your time and filling into your family and into yourself too. Because if you're not, like your family is going to fall apart, man. Like your closest person to you, which is usually your spouse, they're going to start hating you if you're never around because they're taking care of all this other stuff. And all you're doing is working. Sometimes, you know, I think about this, happy I learned this at a young age because a lot of people don't realize this till they're older, but they're like, man, I chased the dollar for so long, right? Let's say you get to an age where you're 40 years old and you're making $600,000 a year. Okay. That extra $200,000 a year you're making, was that worth it to tear your entire family apart? Because if there's a way where you can get to making 400 grand a year, 300 grand a year, and have all those checks and balances with your family and your lifestyle, why would you not want to do that? Because I'd rather take a little bit of a pay cut. When I say a little bit of a pay cut, like my goals are to make insane income, but I won't sacrifice the happiness and the well-being of my family to get there.
Yeah.
But like my bare minimum floor of income is 200,000 a year. Like that's where I set my bar. That's what I got to make to sustain the things that I like to do because, you know, money doesn't necessarily buy you happiness, but it's a tool to help you with that. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys have ever been on vacation before, but it's way nicer staying in like a beautiful 3-bedroom condo than it is staying in a Motel 8. So I really like to have the money to come in to pay for those things. But then if you have no time to spend on those vacations with your family because you're working all the time, then what's the point? You know, what's the point?
Exactly.
So I think there's an equal medium where you could find, if you're willing to spend $50 on a lead to get a high quality lead to make the income, then spend the time with your family, do that. Don't try to be cheap and buy $6 leads or $4 leads or $3 leads off the internet that are garbage. And then you're going to spend several hours trying to work those to get half the amount of revenue you would get if you just ran an A lead.
Yeah.
So I kind of went off track there.
No, man, I like it. You're just flowing, bro. You're just flowing.
So I've learned so much stuff, man. In the last like 2 months, I've learned a lot. But this week, I was like really stressing because when I got these leads in, I think I'm one of the first people that came over from an old company to get these leads in. I think we've only had a handful of people that got their A leads in so far because I placed an order right away.
Yeah.
So
they're starting to flow in all the major cities that when we came, like in, because we had some coming from California and Texas, where you're at, Indiana, some in California. So
they work everywhere. They're all the same, dude. I ran Evansville just for fun. Ripped a bunch of biz down there. I'm gonna go run the north side of the Indiana. I mean, I just want to test out multiple demographic areas. Like I want to test out like rich areas, middle class areas, less income areas. I want to see the difference. And it doesn't matter when they have a mortgage. It doesn't matter. If you're getting a mortgage protection lead, you're going to be running a lead that is qualified with income. You know, you can't get a home without income.
And this is also the first time I want to hit on this before we close out. You've never run mortgage protection before.
No, I ran like 1 or 2 leads once that were kind of like the bottom of the barrel. Just tried it, but not like this. Not like an actual mortgage protection mailer generated.
Okay. And doing mortgage protection, I know a lot of people coming over, they've never done mortgage protection because they're running internet leads, and that's all that
Right.
their company has for available in that area. And so, a lot of them are kind of understandably like a little nervous to be able to, a little gun shy to be like, I spend $500 for some leads that I don't even know if I can run them or how to run them or anything like that.
Right.
What would you tell them?
I would tell them that number one, you're going to put yourself in the best situation to be successful. Okay. Because if you buy an internet life lead, you don't know what's on the other side of that lead. You have no idea. It could be someone who's super wealthy that may not even be really that interested in life insurance. It could be somebody who is really, really broke that doesn't have a bank account that you can't enroll at all. Because anyone can get an internet life lead. Okay. Anybody can. I mean, I go online right now and apply for internet life insurance. So can anybody else. And most of the times they're not even legit. I mean, anyways, so a mortgage lead though, life insurance is life insurance. Do not overcomplicate the process. It is just life insurance. Okay. So when you get a mortgage lead, just understand that you're putting yourself in a better chance to be successful just with the person you're working with. Okay. And then number two, the best part about a mortgage lead is it is the most, usually most of the time, it is the most expensive and the largest purchase they've ever made in their life. And is the number one thing they want to protect. There's something very emotional about a home because it's not a house. Like a lot of people that just rent houses, like, I mean, I've rented houses obviously. And when you rent a house, you're kind of like, whatever. I don't need really, mow the yard. It's not that big of a deal. I don't really care. But when someone owns a home, that is their home, not just a house. It is where their kids are going to grow up. It is where their wife is going to be putting the little markings on their kids as they're growing and all that good stuff. All the perfect family photos, their family dog. Like, it's a big deal to people. It isn't just like, hey, we're going to cover a funeral. It's like, dude, this is your home. So you don't want this going back to the bank. You want this staying in your family. It's a very easy sale because you don't need to build the emotion. Emotion's already there. So with most life insurance, you gotta have two things. You have emotion and you have logic. Emotion gets them to pull the trigger. Logic solidifies the deal so you keep it long term. You want one of those? You only have logic and no emotion. The trigger's not gonna get pulled. They're not gonna get the policy. If you have all emotion, no logic, then they're just gonna get it and they're gonna have buyer's remorse and cancel it later. Every day they wake up in this home, they know like, hey, this is where they want to keep their policy because the emotion's there to pull the trigger and the logic's already there. This is my home. I live in every single day. I see it all the time. Yep. You might think about a funeral every once in a while. So I'm very passionate about mortgage protection leads just because of the fact that you're going to be putting yourself in a really good situation to be successful. And the sale, and I don't even want to call it a sale, the enrollment is really easy.
Yeah, it's super easy and super easy to learn too. So for instance, earlier you mentioned going to somebody, you were nervous because you were going to a client's house and they were the 70-year-old and you were like, yo, Greg, what do I do? And I was like, oh, okay, CP means critical period coverage. So for those of you that didn't pick that up earlier, you had never done a critical period coverage before. You didn't.
I learned about the term like 8 days ago.
And how long did we spend on the phone when I told you the pitch, and then you like for you to be like, okay, I understand it. You went and sold it right away. Like how long?
4 minutes.
It was like a super quick conversation. Explained it.
Right.
And then you're like, what companies? And I told you what companies to look at, and you went in the home and you sold it very easily. Like it was just like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so if you don't try to complicate the process, when agents are learning this, they feel like there's this mystical like back end and there's all this information you gotta know. There's not. It's not that big of a deal. It's like you said, it's life insurance. It's life insurance that either pays mortgage payments for critical period coverage or an equity protection, however you want to put it, or it's going to be life insurance with living benefits rolled in, and living benefits just pay while you're still alive if certain conditions take place. It's that simple. And so it's meant to the way I tell people is that, hey, it's meant to cover you the day the worst happens, no matter what that thing is, whether it's a sickness, whether it's total disability, whether it's terminal illness or death. It's going to pay for all those. Oh, and by the way, it's going to give you all your money back at the end if you don't use the plan at all. So it's basically a zero net cost to you. It's free. And
I wanted to say something about that because I got really nervous when I saw like a older person, 70, 68 years old, and they had a mortgage of like 300 grand. I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to do anything here. Mm-hmm. And the critical period was like that's the only thing I could do for them, right? But what people don't understand, and this is something that everyone that's insurance probably already knows this, people don't they don't buy insurance for what it is. They don't buy it for a whole life or term. They buy it for what it does. So when you explain it so simply, like, hey man, so your mortgage is $1,000 a month. We can give you a critical period policy for 6 months, 18 months, 2 years. How much time do you want to buy your wife or your kids? And they're just like, here's the prices. Let's do 18 months. Okay, cool. Enroll. It's not like I'm sitting here saying, hey guys, this is a $10,800 funeral plan expense policy, develops 3% cash value accumulation over this. I'm not doing any of that. It's just like, this
is real simple, real basic.
Yep. And that
you're just keeping it because there's almost an assumption like, well, what if they ask? People aren't going to ask.
I had one person ask me.
They'll never ask.
I sat down with a guy, and this is something I want to say before. I know we're kind of going some time now, but
no, it's fine. Keep going.
I sat down with a guy, and I got him approved. By the way, remember the guy who had cancer 15 years ago that I told you about? Yeah. Got him approved on a policy. Got the email today from American Amicable. But here was the thing. I get him on the phone. It's an A lead, and he goes, hey man, I just want you to know, like, I had my life insurance license in the past. I've had all this. I've had a real estate license. I've had everything to even mention. I just want you to know, like, I know what I want. I know what I'm going to do. I know this stuff. I just need you to come over and sell it to me. I was like, okay. So I got there, and this guy's, I'm thinking in my head, like, when someone says they're a licensed life insurance agent, you think like, God, this guy must be a 20-year veteran. 99% of the time they were in life insurance for like 3 months and they quit. That's usually how it is. But I sat down with him like, okay, man, so you know the deal. What do you want? And he's like, well, it's been like a while since I've been in insurance. I'm like, okay, let me explain some options to you. Number one, we cover the entire cost of the mortgage. Or since you're 54, we have another option. We can do something called critical period. I can probably cover, I'm like, what's your budget? He's like, well, I really want to spend like around $100. And I literally typed in $100. Said, hey man, instead of explaining it in a way where like, this is $98,000 of insurance, it's going to cover half your mortgage. I just said, hey man, it's going to cover about 8 years of your mortgage payments with interest, everything on it. This is going to cover 8 years for your wife to be living mortgage free. Yeah. And he's like, okay, cool. Like he's an insurance agent. I explained it a basic way where you're just like, yeah, let's do it. Enroll them, got the policy, good to go.
That's what the policy does. It's selling 100%. The sizzle, not the steak. You're actually selling the feeling and what it's going to be doing and the protection it provides, instead of just being like, here's the cash, like you're going to get this tax free. So
100%. And the people I sat down with, man, I mean, I can't even tell you, so I asked the same question on the phone like you do. I pre-qualify everyone over the phone. Mm-hmm. And I put like numbers next to it. Like if someone, had like some serious health issues, I put like a 3. That means like we're going probably AIG. If I put a 2, which by the way, people who work for captive companies, I know you guys are limited to what products you can sell. Being in a brokerage or IMO, you have access to tons of companies, meaning that I could sell every single person on the planet with a policy because we have guaranteed issue policies. I didn't even know that even existed. I could sit down with somebody with cancer yesterday and I can give them a policy today. So I just want to make that clear. So I put numbers on there, like 1, 2, and 3. 3 is like super unhealthy. 2 is like, we're in the middle. And then 1 is like perfectly good. We're good to go. When I show up these people's houses, they have all their stuff readily available. Their insurance policies they already have. I had people pulling out their IRAs, Edward Jones, like, here's how much money I got here. Here's my life insurance policy. Here's all my insurance policies. They give me everything. And that's when I call you. I'm like, hey, Greg, this guy's got 150 grand in IRA. He's got 200,000 life insurance. What do I do? And it makes it so simple because these people are ready to go. The dude, this guy literally pulled out his stuff and he goes, looks at me. So what do you think I should do? And I was like, let me call my senior underwriter guy really quick because I don't even know what to do. And so then I called you up and then LBL, man.
There we go.
We're going to go. So I think people need to realize that. Number one, I want to make this clear because, these leads are really that good. And I'm not a kind of guy to preach about leads because I was always trained in the past, like, don't, 1, complain about leads, and 2, a lead's a lead. So now I'm really learning how wrong I was because a lead's not a lead, like we talked about. Mm-hmm. And if you get yourself in a position where you can run high quality leads, you can run them from anywhere. And I proved that today. I had a guy who's in my hometown in Idaho, my good friends. I was really skeptical of bringing him on board because I said, do you live in a lower population area? I'm not sure how many A leads I can generate you because that's what he wants to do. I said, I have a virtual appointment tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm going to run it. It's an A lead. If I close it, then I'll tell you how it goes. And then I'd recommend you to buy leads. Closed it. So now I'm very confident. You could live in Idaho and run mortgage A leads in Michigan virtually and make a ton of money. In fact, Jay and I just booked a vacation in Rosemary Beach. We're going for a whole week on vacation. Okay. I'm smiling about that because I have not been on a week vacation in years because my old company, if you even took off a Saturday, you're pretty much crucified. Okay. Yeah. So I'm taking a whole week to go on vacation with Jenny at Rosemary Beach, renting a beach house. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Grub Studios with me, and I'm going to set up, and I'm going to run leads virtually. I'm going to make a bunch of money to pay for the entire trip and then some while I'm on vacation, chilling on the beach with my family.
Yeah.
So
tax-free trip. Tax-free trip.
There you go. Tax-free trip. So I'm very confident that you can run these even virtually for those people that can't, if you live in a small town, dude, if you live in the middle of nowhere, you can't get any leads close to you. All you have to have is an internet connection and a laptop, and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So that's what's nice about having quality leads. If you have subpar leads where you just have a name number, and when you call them and you say, "Hey, this is Jeff Von Kienast, call my your internet life lead," and they say, I never filled anything out. Good luck booking a Zoom appointment. Okay. Yeah. If you call somebody and I say, "Hey, I got your mortgage protection here," and they're like, "Oh yeah, like you're John, right? Yep. Okay. Date of birth this. Okay, awesome. Would you like to do it in person or virtually? Virtually. Great." And they're going to show up.
Yeah.
That's the difference, because you can't run virtual on shitty leads. It doesn't work.
It's true.
So that's my 2 cents, Greg.
That's your 2 cents. That's all I got to say about that.
That's all right.
Oh man, this is good, man. I'm excited to see, how everything develops out and over your trip, and see how. Well, I love when you call me and you're like, "Bro, I just sold another one, man." You're like so excited.
I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it was happening. I was like, "This is actually happening. It's real. We're doing this, man. We're in. We're good. We made the right decision. We made the right choice. This is it." It's a good feeling, because you don't know what you don't know, man. I was brainwashed for so many years. Like, this is everyone who leaves this company fails, and I was like, I believe that. And I went to another company because I saw people having success. I saw people writing business. I'm like, obviously they're being successful. Jumped over that fence to see the grass is greener. It was greener, and then we made this jump again. I was kind of like, let's hope this grass is green. And it was worth the wait. Because we've all been waiting, man. We've all been waiting a few weeks to get our contracts, our carriers in, all of our leads that come in, and it's worth the wait, man. Like, I haven't written business in 2 weeks. I've been chilling because I was waiting for my carriers to come in. Now I got my carriers, I got my leads. The first day, I wrote a policy every single day. So the first day, wrote a policy every day on. Mostly two and some days too. So it's worth the wait.
Very nice. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you coming on board and having a conversation with me. If anybody watches this, they're like, "Man, I really like Grub. He's a cool dude. I want to work with him." How can they get a hold of you?
Dude, they can call me my cell phone, text me, probably first text me, area code 208-699-6648. That number's never going to change. So feel free.
Very nice. And for those of you watching, thank you so much for taking part in our podcast, and the ADV1 podcast. We come to you each and every weekday. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that or if you're not, then subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share this. Share this with somebody if you got value out of it. If you did not, well, then you can let us know that, it sucked, and we'll take it on the chin. We'll take it.